Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Session 2 of our Getting Ready for High School Virtual Information Series, How to Select Your Grade 9 Courses. This presentation has closed captioning in a variety of languages. The exact setting will vary by device, but is usually found in the bottom right corner where you activate captioning. The following languages should appear. We will begin tonight with our land acknowledgement. The Hamilton-Wentworth District School Board acknowledges our presence on ancestral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee Confederacy land as determined by the Dish with One Spoon Treaty. The intent of this agreement is for all nations sharing this territory to do so responsibly, respectfully, and sustainably in perpetuity. We respect the long-standing relationships with the local Indigenous communities, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and the Six Nation of the Grand River. To start tonight's presentation, I would like to show a video from our student trustees. Sorry about that. I understand there is a little problem with our sound. We will try restarting our presentation.
To how to select courses for grade 9.
I'm Dima Abdelhafiz, a grade 11 student at Zello District High School. I attended Lake Avenue in kindergarten and then went to Janet Lee for grades 1 to 8.
I'm Aisha Mahmoud and I'm a grade 11 student at Ancaster High. In elementary school, I attended Fessenden Elementary and then Ancaster Senior Public School.
And we are the Hamilton-Wentworth District School Board student trustees for this year.
A student trustee is a grade 11 or 12 student elected by the student body to represent the student voice in decisions of the board.
Starting high school is an exciting time, and it was not so long ago that I was in your shoes, wondering what high school would be like and what I needed to do to prepare.
Although it may feel overwhelming, just know that there are so many people working at both your elementary school and your future high school to ensure as smooth of a transition as possible.
I hope you all were able to attend your high school's information session this month to learn about all of the courses, extracurricular activities, specialized programming, school supports, and opportunities to get involved in.
And if you missed these sessions, don't worry, they were all recorded and the videos will be available to view anytime at your convenience. Make sure to check out your school's website for more information.
The main goal of tonight's session is to help you understand the course selection process. HWDSB uses a digital platform called Zello that can be found in the hub for all grade 8 HWDSB students.
Here, all grade 9 courses can be submitted electronically and students can verify their high school destination.
Although it is the intention of this presentation to provide all of the information you need to pick your courses, please know that if you run into any difficulty, that your grade 8 homeroom teacher or your high school student services team are always there to help.
If you're new to HWDSB, make sure to use the school locator to determine your high school location. You'll need to contact the school directly in order to register for an HWDSB secondary school.
On behalf of the HWDSB Secondary School Student Body, we want to welcome you to this evening's presentation and congratulate you on this exciting next step in your education journey.
And at this point in time, I'd like to welcome Superintendent Bill Torrens with a welcome.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you to the team who has organized tonight's session. On behalf of our chair, Don Danko, and our director, Manny Figueredo. I'd like to welcome all of you tonight to tonight's information session for grade 9 course selection. We're really excited to have this opportunity tonight to speak to you about our grade 9 program for 2022-23. It is the first year of a fully de-streamed grade 9 program where our courses are all offered at a single level or a single course offering. As we work through the process of this evening, there'll be some great information regarding that and how to navigate making some of your optional course selections and really starting to create your pathway to post-secondary. So an exciting night, and I hope it's very informative. So I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Bill. And I will introduce myself, the voice behind our first few slides. I am Simon Goodacre, System Principal with our Learning Services Department responsible for program in the board. So tonight's session, we will have the following topics covered. We will do a recap of session 1, which we held in November. We will do a review of understanding high school pathways and how that connects to the course selection process. We will look at what courses you can choose in electives for grade 9, along with some programming options of how those courses are offered, whether in person or e-learning. We will also talk about other graduation requirements, such as your community involvement hours. And at the end of the session, we will stay online and have a question and answer session. You will notice there is a question and answer submission tab on your login, and that is being moderated with the team behind the scenes tonight. I do ask, though, that many of your questions hopefully will be answered by the content of the presentation, and we will stay near the end. So if you can hopefully hold some of those questions until later in the presentation, we may be able to answer some of your questions as we go. So as I've mentioned, this is session 2 of a series. So session 1 is available on our board website. We held it in November, and both the slide deck and the video on a YouTube channel is available from our board website. So if you were not able to be in attendance, I would encourage you to look at that resource and follow through on that materials, because we are going to be building on it tonight. And as our student trustees mentioned, the last 2 weeks, our individual secondary schools have been running their school-specific nights, which complement this series. So this is the roadmap of where we have been and where you still have to go. So we have talked about the series in November that we held online centrally, and then there were the school-specific presentations. So this presentation will also be posted to our website, and the slide deck will have links that you can click on. So the arrows that you see tonight on our website, when this is posted in the next few days, you will be able to click on those resources to take you to further information. And we do have the videos for our school-specific presentations also available. So if you missed your local school's information session, don't worry, that video you can watch at your own convenience. Then on the roadmap on how to select your grade 9 courses, that's here tonight, so welcome. And then through February into early March is actually when you will be picking those course selections and confirming those choices with your grade 8 teacher for your local secondary school. And then unfortunately, we can't be too specific because of the current public health protocols, but there will be communication around activities related to the transition to each secondary school coming near the end of this school year and then throughout the summer into the start of the next school year. So for those of you who are new to the Ontario system, or perhaps it's been a few years since you've been in high school and this is your first time through, There are 3 types of diplomas and certificates that students may be working on. We have an Ontario Secondary School Certificate, a Certificate of Accomplishment, and the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So the Secondary School Diploma is the certificate that is required for direct entrance into university, college, or apprenticeship programs. The Ontario Secondary School Certificate is for students who earn 14 credits. And while I will be looking through this information, and I realize on the screen perhaps you won't be able to read all of it, that is okay. This is sort of more detailed information that some families may be interested in. And again, you'll notice the arrow where you can click on further information online through our website. The other certificate of accomplishment is to recognize achievement of students who have been working on modified or alternative programs during their time in high school, and this recognizes their achievement. The Ontario Secondary School Diploma has a few requirements. One, it is for students who have successfully completed 30 credits, and the graphic here shows you a mix of compulsory and elective credits that students have to meet out of that 30. Students will also have to meet a literacy requirement, an e-learning requirement, and a community involvement hour requirement. And each of those requirements we will talk about further in this presentation. As well, there is further information on this that you can click on through our website, because if this information is new to you, you may want to revisit it later at another time as well. I also want to reassure parents and families that this information is revisited throughout your high school time. So while you are picking your grade 9 courses, you don't have to remember all of this information. This is over 4 years of high school, and each year you can connect with student services staff in the high school around these requirements to make sure that you are on track year over year. So it is an exciting time transitioning from elementary to secondary school, and we hope that you have a destination or pathway in mind, because what we would like to do is take that future destination that you have as an ambition and help you get there. Whether you are looking at an apprenticeship, college, program in the community, university, or straight to the workplace, we're there to support you and helping you reach your goals that you have. Hopefully we do not run into technical difficulty again. I will play another section from our student trustees.
Most students will work towards an Ontario Secondary School Diploma, also known as the OSSD, requiring both compulsory courses, which are courses students must take, and elective courses, which are courses that students choose from within a subject area, like gym, art, business, food nutrition, and more.
Elective or optional courses allow students to pick the classes that best suit their interests and allow them to explore different pathways and post-secondary options.
All grade 9 students will take the same compulsory courses, including grade 9 English, Science, Math, Geography, and French.
One phys ed credit at any grade level is also a compulsory graduation requirement.
An art credit is also a graduation requirement, but it is considered an optional credit because there are many different art courses, such as visual art, drama, dance, and music to choose from.
If a specific course that you're interested in isn't available at your high school, you might be able to take the course through e-learning. We'll discuss e-learning courses later in tonight's presentation.
I remember being so excited for my food and nutrition class. As a kid, I saw all of my siblings bringing home the food they made in class, and when I finally got to high school, it was like a dream come true.
I took food and nutrition in grade 9 too. Learning about the food you put into your body and how to make food that's good for you was really interesting. I also got to work with my friends and my classmates to bake cookies and all sorts of things. It felt like a total movie. It was my high school musical moment for sure. I also took visual arts as my grade 9 art credit, and I loved that class so much that I continued taking it up until grade 11.
I took an art credit over the summer, so I was able to reach ahead and complete my civics and careers class early. I also did my grade 10 history course over the next summer, and I was able to take more elective classes I was interested in with the free space I made in my schedule.
Make sure you read the course descriptions and pick the elective that best suits your interests.
Once you've decided which optional courses you would like to take, you will need to enter them in Zello. So let's take a look at this process.
I really want to thank our student trustees. They're doing an excellent job taking you through the different steps, but also sharing their own experiences as they started high school. So the course selection process, as Dima mentioned, is entered through a program called Zello. And we're just going to take you through the process of selecting those courses and how to do it. We want to assure families, though, that students receive a lot of support for this process through their grade 8 classroom. And so while we want you to be aware of the instructions on how to use Zello, it is something that can be done through the classroom time in grade 8. And grade 8 teachers do support students through this to ensure it is complete. Students want to think about courses that are based on their interest and also what is offered at their secondary school. I mentioned the school-specific presentations that have occurred over the last few weeks, and each school has slightly different offerings in the elective courses. So your grade 8 teacher, a learning resource teacher at both elementary or secondary, and ESL teachers at elementary and secondary are available to support students with the course selection process. To answer their individual questions. It is also important to note that Zello will not be open until February the 8th. So I know some of you are anxious to enter your courses now, which is fantastic. But there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on to ensure that this process is successful with each school, and that process will open up in early February. It is also important to let your elementary school know which secondary school you will be attending by the end of this month. The majority of students will be attending their local catchment secondary school, and your elementary school should be aware of that choice because it is usually the default selection. However, if you are looking at another school for a specific reason or program, it is important to let your grade 8 teacher in elementary school know that. So what do course selections look like in grade 9? So courses can be grouped into two main categories. One is compulsory credits and the other is optional credits. So compulsory credits in grade 9, all students will have the same 5 subjects. And Superintendent Torrance talked about how this year is the first year that courses will be de-streamed. So if you have older siblings, this may look a little different. So all students will be in the same level of course, no matter what the subject. So we have English, math, science, Canadian geography, and French. So these are the compulsory course packages for all students. Then the piece that will differ a little bit depending on your local school will be your optional credits that you can pick. Some examples of optional credits are visual arts, health and physical education, and exploring technology. Now, again, different schools will have a selection of these optional credits for you. It also is important to note that English language learners and students requiring some of our specialized programming may have some additional supports or programs that are selected in consultation with our school staff through meetings and communication with both the elementary and secondary school. We also want to introduce you in secondary school to course codes, but again, well, this is information that can be useful. We recognize that families are not educators. You do not have to know or memorize course codes, but it is on a number of our communications and forms, and having a brief understanding of how those course codes are put together can be useful. So the first 3 letters here we have MTH for math, identifies the course subject, and different the letters will indicate the department or subject in the curriculum that that course is listed under. The next number identifies the grade. So grade 9 is 1, grade 10 is 2, grade 11 is 3, grade 12 is 4. And then some courses at the end will have some identifier letters. And the important one for grade 9 is the EL signifies a course is e-learning. A capital I would indicate a course is French immersion. L or S would indicate English is a second language programming. So again, while this might look like code and you may not always remember, don't worry. School staff are there to support you, but it is useful information that many families ask about. So Zello is our program for course information and also course selection. So our course catalog, which is the catalog of all the courses that are offered in all the schools across the school board, are listed in Zello. And the link to this course guide is located on our board website. And Zello itself is available to students through the Hub, which is one of their online learning platforms. So on that Zello course guide, you would see a list of, you can select by grade, elective courses, and there's also information about which schools offer that course. Courses, those elective courses, vary at all of our secondary schools. So different school communities will have slightly different course offerings. We have a variety of technology courses with different focus. We have a variety of arts courses, a variety of focused physical education courses. We also offer Mohawk as a second language as a course that I want to highlight for families. And one of the programs that we have in the HWDSB is a very robust e-learning program. And if your school does not offer these elective courses that fit your interest, a number of these courses are available through our e-learning program, starting in grade 9 all the way through to grade 12. So I've been mentioning those e-learning options. So e-learning courses, as you're coming from grade 8 and the last couple of years we have had remote learning, e-learning does look different than elementary remote learning. So that's an important distinction to mention. These are all full credit courses that are aligned with the Ontario curriculum. It is the same curriculum as is offered in person. The HWDSB uses the Hub Learning Platform, which many of you will have used in grade 7 and grade 8. There is no live instruction, however, but teachers have office hours where they are available and work is done asynchronously, but taught all by Ontario certified teachers, and they are all the HWDSB has a number of teachers that teach in the e-learning program, but we also partner with school boards across the province to provide an even broader selection of courses to our students. A relatively recent requirement that, again, if you have older siblings, may not apply to them is that all students currently entering grade 9 need 2 of their 30 courses completed through e-learning. And this is a new requirement. We are still awaiting some direction from the Ministry of Education around the details of that requirement. So it will be something we communicate to families as we receive that information. But it is useful to think ahead and know that out of your 30 courses, 2 of those courses will be completed through e-learning. Another graduation requirement for the Ontario Secondary School Diploma is a total of 40 hours of unpaid community involvement. Lots of students ask, when can I start? And you can start immediately in the summer following grade 8 graduation before you start grade 9. Each high school student services office has information both in person and usually on their school website regarding community involvement hours. And we do have another one of these arrows pointing to resources that can be accessed on our board website. For students who are Indigenous, we do have an Indigenous education consultant, Nahani, who is available to assist students who are looking to volunteer within an Indigenous organization. And her contact information is available there, and that means it will be available on our website afterwards when we post this information. So we've been talking a lot about individual courses and selections, and I've mentioned a few of the teachers and staff that are available to help you with this process. So want to also highlight then the range of supports that we offer to students. And it is important to mention that really the prime source of information is your current elementary school. Your homeroom teacher receives a number, lots of information around the grade 8 to 9 transition, and really is a great place to ask your questions. Your elementary school learning resource teacher or ESL teacher can also be of great help for both students and for families who have questions around any specialized services that are needed in the transition or supports. I mentioned Nahani and our Indigenous transition consultant. Some of our elementary schools and all of our secondary schools have student success teachers. Our secondary student success teachers often visit our elementary schools to speak to grade 8 classes around the transition. So do our guidance counselors from our secondary schools. Mentioned resource teachers for elementary. All of our secondary schools also have learning resource teachers that are there to help create that continuum of support for students who need specialized services. A number of our schools have graduation coaches for Black students, and school principals and vice principals at both elementary and secondary are available to assist families and students as well. So I did mention we have been talking around course selections, and at several points I mentioned that some students might have specialized programming in special education or in English as a second. And we encourage you to connect with the elementary teachers supporting your student in those areas to work on a tailored, individualized transition plan that meets the needs of those students as they move through to high school. Each of those needs is unique, and that's why it is best addressed with those individualized programs designed in consultation with you as a family and the student and the elementary school who can engage the appropriate secondary school staff on your behalf. A final thank you from our student trustees.
Thank you all so much for attending this session. We hope that you were able to ask any questions you had. If not, please check the board website for more information.
We really hope to see all of you around the halls of our HWDSB schools, and that your transition from elementary to secondary is as smooth as possible.
Don't be afraid to reach out to us with any questions, comments, or concerns.
We hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
And I would like to thank everyone for joining us this evening. I know we have covered information that for some of you is new, but hopefully it's been building throughout our fall presentation, the school presentations. This is an additional session to help you with those selections. I encourage you to start. We have some people using the chat already to enter questions, and we do have a team of our program consultants here to help answer some of those questions. So I will give a few moments for some questions to come in, and then I can also speak to some of the common topics that have been posted as well. So I will give everybody a few minutes to post some questions. Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask one of the members of our support team who will come on and just if there are any common topics that have come up that I could speak to.
Hi, Simon. One of the questions was about any students who are currently in remote school, so that it's important to let your remote school homeroom teacher know, and they can support you in the journey even if you're in a school, the home school is different than your remote school. So that's one of the questions. If you wanted to expand on that, that's a question.
Absolutely, thank you. So students in our elementary remote program who are in grade 8, it's an excellent question. It definitely is a little different than normal, but also very similar. So your grade 8 remote teacher and the school that the remote class is hosted at really is considered your home grade 8 school right now, and they will take the lead on helping with that transition. Now, because the remote classes have students from a variety of different locations within our community, it is very helpful for that remote school, your remote homeroom teacher, to know which school is your home school. They will be doing some work in the background to make sure schools get linked to their correct school, but you're welcome to let them know that what is your local school. It will help them, but no, we do have plans in place to ensure that those schools can send you to your correct high school when it comes. But excellent question, because our remote program has been something different the past 2 years. I don't know, just from our team, is there other topics or questions that are common?
Hi, Simon. There's a couple questions here around when one might start taking courses. So some interest in summer school between grade 8 and 9, and then a couple questions just clarifying around things like the Specialist High Skills Major program or other options that come into play later on in the secondary school career.
Okay, thank you. So excellent questions there. In terms of when can you start, we do have, so the continuing education department of our board is responsible for programs like summer school. And they do vary a little bit each year depending on available funding and staffing and what can be run. And usually in May, mid-May, end of May, we start communication and registration regarding those programs. Some of those programs are very specific for helping students with extra literacy or numeracy support, and those may vary at different school communities. We will also have, we usually have some reach ahead offerings available for students who have graduated grade 8 as they enter grade 9. So not all summer school courses are available to you, but there will be some designated for grade 8 students to start after graduation. It does vary year to year and does depend a little bit later towards the end of the year, but your grade 8 schools receive that information usually in May and will share with you. In terms of some of our specialty programs that you can choose, like the high skills major program that was mentioned. It is great to have that goal in mind. Once you get into grade 9, a lot of those programs, so our high skills major programs start in grade 11. So you would take courses in grade 9 and grade 10 and can talk to your guidance counselor at the end of grade 9 about what courses and what programs that you're leading towards so that they can help you tailor your choices towards those specialized programs. So our high skills majors programs are excellent examples. We have a number of system co-op programs that you can apply from any school, and those programs are usually grade 11 and grade 12 as well. Some families online may be applying to our 2 grade 9 special entry programs, the audition-based arts program at Glendale and Westmount's independent learning program. Both those schools have been receiving applications this month and will be sending out acceptances shortly. So mentioned that all of our secondary schools that had information nights. Westmount's information night, you will receive information regarding that in February with your acceptance, which should actually be coming out, I believe, next week. The Glendale program is running auditions, and I believe they are the week after. So in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, families in those specialty programs, which are grade 9 entry, will find out. Most other programs in the board are entry after grade 9, so usually grade 11, grade 12. So hopefully that helps with some of our specialty programs.
Simon, there's been a couple questions about e-learning, particularly around the requirement of e-learning in secondary. Could you just speak to that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So the HWDSB has a long-standing e-learning program that's now close to 15 years and involves a number of courses that are available through all of our students in all of our schools. Recently, though, the ministry has released a requirement that all students should have 2 e-learning courses before they graduate. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of the details of what that requirement exactly looks like to share with you, and we will do some communication once we receive that information from the ministry. But it is important to note we've had a long-standing, very successful e-learning program, and you do not need to take e-learning courses just because of that requirement. In fact, most students are taking e-learning courses over the past 10 years to increase their course choice. They can take choice courses that either don't fit into their current timetable because of the school schedule that they go to, or they're taking courses that aren't offered at their local school that they're very interested in and they would like for their pathway. And so they're accessing e-learning for both those reasons as well. But we will communicate to families around that e-learning requirement from the ministry as we receive some more information. It is expected in the spring or before the end of the school year, so families have it going into next year. Unfortunately, we can't control when we receive that. The other thing to note is that e-learning is separate from remote learning due to the pandemic. So our elementary remote program is a live video synchronous feed experience for students in kindergarten through grade 8. E-learning is different. It is through the hub. There is not live instructional sessions. It is our, some students may be taking e-learning because of the current pandemic, but we do have numerous students in e-learning, as I mentioned, well before COVID and in relation to increasing their course choices. So definitely something encourage students to be open-minded to, regardless of our current past 2 years with this situation. So I hope that helps. And e-learning courses there are a lot of them available, and they are also listed in Zello for families to look at. So I know we've had numerous questions submitted and our team is answering many of them through a direct chat back. I don't know if there are further common questions or themes that I can address.
I believe we covered this, but just to double check, number of questions around course selection in terms of when we need to select those courses and how we go about doing so if potentially we're not an HWDSB student, if we're coming from out of the board. Is there a mechanism for us to sign up for those courses at home?
Okay, very good question, an important one. So for students who are in an HWDSB elementary school, Zello, well, it's good for you to know as a family, will usually be done through your grade 8 teacher during school time. So it's good to have a conversation around selections at home, but the entry is usually done by students during class time. And there then is a mechanism for parents to verify those choices in early March, just to ensure that your student did enter what you thought they entered. For families who are not currently in an HWDSB elementary school, but are planning to go to a high school in our board, what you should be doing is, and you can do this, actually I encourage you to do it as soon as possible. You can do it remainder this week, next week, is make contact with that local high school. So use our school finder on the website if you know your catchment school, and contact their office and they will send you registration details, because you must register with them, and at that point you will be able to select your courses. So for families outside the HWDSB, you're not in our system in terms of Zello, so you would register with that local high school and they would take you through a process for selecting courses. So I think our support team has been very busy. I see lots of questions, but I know our team is answering them directly to many of you. Are there any other common themes that I could speak to?
There's a couple questions here, Simon, about how I could perhaps change a course after I submit it, or at what point I might be able to change my timetable if I realize maybe I've made the wrong selection in Zello. Okay,
very good. So the selection process will start. So Zello opens on February the 8th. And goes through February, and in early March there is a chance for parents to do that verification of course choices. At that point, schools are actually taking the information from Zello and starting their planning for next year. Most families do not realize how early we start that process. If you have changed your mind around a course, and you feel that this is a definite change that you would like to make, at that point in time, you need to connect with the secondary school, because they are now planning to have you as a grade 9 student for the following year. They are building timetables. So you would contact that secondary school to indicate the need for a change. Usually that would occur through some type of communication during COVID times. Sometimes guidance counselors meetings are virtual. Sometimes it might be a phone call with a parent, even perhaps an email exchange, depending on the situation. So, but to make changes, it would be necessary to contact the secondary school once the selections have been submitted. I would encourage families to do that earlier. If you wait until the end of the summer and the start of the school year, there is no guarantee that the timetable would work with a course change. So ideally, encourage people to put as much thought as possible into those course selections. recognizing there might be some situations where it changes, but if that is the case, please contact the secondary school. So I know we still have some questions continuing to come in, and our team is looking at answering them. One of the things I would suggest with parents and for students is that a lot of course choices, well, schools are having choices in Zello for you to choose. Courses, student interest plays a large role. So I'm going to use e-learning as an example because it's across all of our system. The course choices that are there, it's unfortunately not possible to run every course because not all courses are actually selected by enough students. So if you are interested in a course, we do ask and encourage you to select that course during this process, because what it does, it demonstrates to schools, or it demonstrates to the board in the case of e-learning, that there is student interest in that program. And then we build our staffing for next year based on that student interest of what courses they are looking to have. So it does make a difference to us what you want. We want to hear what those interests that students have so that we can design programs and timetables that fit your needs the best that we can. I also see a number of, I'm just able now to move from our presentation to the chat, and noticing that there's a number of questions just around information, either from this session being posted, some of those links that people saw, our fall session or the school sessions. They are all available on our board website. If you go to the board website, there is a link for secondary, and under plan for secondary school, you will see our fall presentation. You will see links to the school presentations, and in the coming days you will see this presentation, and in that posting you will see this video. You will also see a posting of the PowerPoint, and the links and resources will be available. What we're also going to do from tonight is take a number of the questions that you have and create an FAQ. And so when we post the video, we will also have an FAQ that you can refer back to as a resource. Okay, with questions, I see a number of questions about specific course offerings, things like tech, things like specialty sports programs. So those do differ by individual high schools. So we do encourage you those school specific presentations. They highlight some of those individual programs that they have. At the system level, we can't possibly talk to all 13 high schools individually. We would be here for a very, very long time explaining that information, and each school would do a much better job highlighting the fantastic programs that they have. So this is what we encourage. It's we're giving parents an overview of that process, but at the same time, we encourage you to have those conversations with your local schools, because they will highlight the individual specialty programs that they run. One program I do want to highlight, it is a change for this year, is that in our phys ed courses, we have asked every school to have a selection that is all gender, so that any student feels comfortable taking that course. So it is there as a selection at every high school as one of the choices as an all gender gym class. Want to give a thank you to our team who are working behind the scenes, making sure that you're receiving responses to your questions. because I'm seeing that a lot of them are being answered. I see a number of people asking questions around exams in secondary school, with it being a change, whether the question is around what are the exam requirements entering secondary school compared to grade 8, or around current things of differences with exams in an e-learning course versus an in-person course. So it is important, if you have older siblings that are in courses, our final assessments around exams have changed significantly during COVID, where final exams have not been required in courses, and teachers have worked to build culminating activities for those final assessments. This quadmester, this school year, and going into second semester for high schools, some senior level grade 12 courses will see the return of some final exams, and some specific other areas may start to see exams. Our e-learning courses, like I said, have existed well before COVID and pandemic times, and there is a practice procedure around final evaluations. In some courses, depending on the subject matter, they look very different than in-person courses. They focus on culminating assessments, very similar to what's happened to our in-person courses during the pandemic. Other courses, though, if a final exam is required, that partnership of school boards that I mentioned on the e-learning slide does have a process for students to take exams at other schools in person if needed. So depending on the subject and the grade, the answer to that question would look different. For many of your grade 9 courses, you may get introduced to an exam if we return to more in-person protocols around public health. But at the same time, many of the courses in the junior grades, grade 9 and grade 10, are actually still focused on culminating final assessments. And just while I wait for some more questions to come in, just looking at the time and the frequency of questions, we are at 6 minutes to 7. What we will do, and the number of questions definitely seems to be slowing. So at 7 o'clock, we will close the question and answers to new questions and focus on answering any questions that remain. But I do encourage you, so if you have a question, if you could please type it in the next couple minutes so that we have it in queue there. And then after 7, our team will stay on, primarily doing replies within the chat. And at that point, shortly after that, I'll speak to any other items that are common, and then I will end video and we will continue to answer those questions in the chat, but no new questions will come in. And I do encourage everyone, like I said, we will be posting an FAQ of those common questions for you as well, so that you can refer to that. So just a kind of a reminder, if right now, if you have a question that's still outstanding, please submit it. The resources available to students in terms of staff, it's important to highlight, and just wanted to highlight one of the supports that we do, but student success teachers are going into grade 8 classes to do presentations. So those are secondary school staff. In many buildings, it is what's referred to as the student success teacher. From some schools, it might be a guidance counselor doing a presentation to our students in grade 8. We are allowed to do them in person in one class cohort, so that you know, your child can ask questions directly to that secondary staff member. So it is an important thing that will be occurring. A few schools have started those visits. Other schools will be continuing those visits this week, next week, and in the coming weeks as well. So.
Simon, there are a few questions about registering for high school.
Okay. So if it is students that are already in an HWDSB school, the registrations are occurring direct with your grade 8 school. So they help make all those arrangements around registration. There are sometimes some forms to fill out, but it's handled through your grade 8 school. They'll ensure that any information needed for the local secondary school is either collected from you and passed on or passed on directly. In many cases, we're able to share information directly with them. If you are coming from outside an HWDSB school, that is one where I do encourage you to contact that secondary school directly in the coming weeks as soon as possible, and you can get a registration form from them, and then you would register new to our school board through that school, and they can help you with your courses. The sooner you do that, the better. Our team is doing a much better job there. While I'm presenting, they're able to be more thorough with the questions. See a number around just accessing, where do people find the lists of courses? So both on the website, it's actually posted now, a link to the Zello course catalog is on our website. In addition, students can access that course catalog through their Zello account, and that listing of courses shows the courses that are available across all schools, not just any one school. So it does allow you to search through options, and each school has the e-learning courses available. So you don't have to go searching for e-learning courses separately. What you would do is you might see a choice that says English in person. So the English course for that school, but there might be that English EL choice that allows you to pick the e-learning option. So all the courses are available within the Zello system. So when it opens on February 8th, you will be able to go in and select. But the course catalog piece, the link is available live on our website currently. And I don't know if it's the interest in the new e-learning requirement or if it's the pandemic the last couple of years. As I'm looking at the questions, I see lots around e-learning. I want to emphasize they're equivalent to an in-person course. So they are the same curriculum. They are taught by certified teachers. They count as one of your course though. So if you take 4 courses per semester, and that could be a mix of 4 in-person courses. It could be 2 in-person courses, 2 e-learning courses. So it's still 4 courses a semester, but you get some choice in the modality of course that you pick. So it's not extra courses. They are the same courses. They show up the same on your transcript as well. It's the same course codes, same curriculum. So lots of questions have been generated, and I know the ministry requirement is something that perhaps people are curious about. We share your curiosity, and we will communicate those requirements once we receive them from the ministry. So at this point in time, I'm going to give sort of a minute heads up that we will be closing the question and answer momentarily, and then we will stay online to make sure we have answered questions in the chat. Shortly after I close the questions, I'll speak perhaps to a few more, and then I'll go off video, but we will remain to answer as many of the questions to make sure we can, and we will be posting those FAQs for questions as well in case we have inadvertently missed something. So
Simon, there's been a number of questions about the e-learning courses that are being offered at other schools. Can you talk a little bit about how our e-learning courses are displayed within Zello?
So absolutely. So our e-learning courses show up very similar to any other in-person course in terms of the subject. So the subject code that I took you through and the course description are exactly the same, except at the end of the code there is an EL designation. And that is a choice you get to make when you choose that. So in our compulsory areas, English and math, geography, there are grade 9 e-learning options available for you to take. We also have some electives in grade 9 and grade 10 for e-learning, and those are available for you to choose as well. I know some people have asked around our partnership with other boards and viewing those courses. Actually, the HWDSB is a leader in our e-learning program. We are one of the largest e-learning programs within the board. Like I said, has existed well before current COVID. And with that, we are one of the boards that actually lead with grade 9 course options for e-learning. So not all boards offer grade 9. They offer e-learning at more senior grades. So all your grade 9 e-learning choices provincially actually come through us. So they're all within Zello for you to pick. In future grades, school guidance counselors have access to a database of all the courses that are available and can help you search for an elective that you can't find within the HWDSB. But our selection of e-learning courses is quite extensive compared to other boards. So we have a really nice selection. Okay, so new questions. We have closed the question and answer for new submissions. Our team here, who I would love to thank for their hard work behind the scenes, both in preparing this presentation and also in answering your questions in the chat. A big thank you to them, and we will all stay on and continue to work on answering questions through the chat. One final one that I might speak to is we have some questions around out attachment availability. So it is slightly separate from our course selection process and has to be approved by the Board of Trustees, but usually the out attachment information is updated on our board website near the beginning of February. So schools have to have courses available and space available for students who live within their catchment area. If their percentage of registrations allow them still space to offer some out of catchment availability, there is a defined process in the board for families to request an out of catchment placement at some of those schools. But other schools are closed to out of catchment and you cannot apply to them. And those closed schools. So right now, if you visit our website, you could visit and see the schools that were open and closed for out of catchment as of last year. The process is usually posted early February with the information for this coming September. So that would be one I would encourage you to check back. Slightly different from this process here, but I know for many families it informs where they would like to submit that option sheet to. So it does usually get updated very early in February. Okay. I just see sneaking in there question around my mention of the all gender phys ed courses. Yes, so health and physical education are actually a single course. So both topics are combined into a single course and covered by the same teacher. And so our all gender option is available. So it's a health and physical education course. If you're interested in that one, I would encourage you to speak to your elementary school, but that might also be one that you could reach out to your school, your secondary school guidance department for some further information around their offering, but all schools have been asked to have an all gender option. Another question around grade 7, grade 8 split classes and receiving visits. Our elementary schools want to make sure that all grade 8 students are included. And so if you are in a 7-8 split, it may look different in different schools, but they usually make extra effort to make sure you are included. Our secondary semester system. I know many families actually now, we talk about it as our regular system and we're almost 2 years out. Unfortunately, we are excited to be returning to semesters for semester 2. And that's where the 8 courses over the school year are broken apart into 2 blocks of 4. So from September through to January, you take 4 courses, and then you would switch courses for 4 new courses February through to June. And now that we're re-entering semesters, we really hope to be able to stay in semesters. I would like to end. We will briefly stay in the chat to try to make sure we have answered them, but I will be signing off. I would like to thank everyone for their attendance tonight. Your interest in HWDSB schools and making sure that your child, or if you are a student here, that you get a good start. We know the transition from grade 8 to grade 9 is a big one and you have many questions. Rest assured, both at the school and at the school board level, we want to make sure that that transition goes well. These resources are posted for families on our website so that you can refer to them later. And I emphasize our grade 8 teachers are your key source, so don't be afraid to ask them about next year, thinking it's not their job. Actually making sure students transition is a key part of their role in grade 8, and teachers are usually happy to answer questions that they know, or they have the connection with that student success teacher or guidance teacher who is visiting the school and can help you get the answer. Again, school presentations are also posted online, so I encourage you, if you missed your schools or you're interested in schools, please log in to watch. And thank you for joining us. We will stay in the chat. Have a great evening. Thank you very much.